Imagine a badge-wearing auditor just walking right into the headquarters of a Fortune 500 company.
Oh, that's a terrifying thought for most executives.
Right. And they aren't there to look at the bank accounts or, the tax filings or the
Yeah.
quarterly revenue reports. They are there to seize the server logs.
Yeah.
They are demanding to see exactly how that company tracks your location or stores your medical history and basically algorithms your buying habits.
Which is completely unprecedented.
Totally. Because for decades, the internet has operated entirely like the Wild West. I mean, you have these digital prospectors mining for your personal information. You've got massive boom towns springing up overnight and plenty of outlaws playing incredibly fast and loose with the rules of privacy.
Right, the gold rush of data.
Exactly. And we've had laws on the books, sure, but out on the dusty streets of the digital frontier, there just hasn't been a dedicated sheriff in town to actually enforce them.
Well, the transition from a theoretical law, something debated in a courtroom, to a practical reality, it requires boots on the ground. Because a law without an enforcement mechanism is really just a suggestion. And building that enforcement mechanism from scratch is an incredibly chaotic process.
Which brings us to our mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at the exact blueprint being used to train a brand new squad of digital sheriffs in India right as it is happening.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
So our source material is this really fascinating post from June 4, 2026. It was published on a site called Navi.org.
Yes.
And the post is titled Guardians of Data Accountability. And it's written by Vijaya Shankar Na, who goes by Navi.
Right. Navi is a huge name in this space.
He is. He's a veteran cyber law specialist based in Bangalore, information assurance consultant, and he's the founder of Cyber Law College. I mean, he is someone who has essentially been pioneering cyber compliance concepts in India for decades.
And looking at his background is crucial here, because we aren't just reading a generic job posting today. We are examining the architectural foundation of a completely new profession. We're watching an industry essentially attempt to bootstrap itself into existence overnight to meet the demands of massive new national privacy laws.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because to understand where these new sheriffs are coming from, we really have to look at the organization that's building the town square.
Exactly.
So Nami's post details the historical context of an organization called FDPPI. And they have been in the trenches working in the data protection domain since 2018.
Which, I mean, in the timeline of modern data privacy, 2018 is practically ancient history.
It really is.
Yeah, that predates a lot of the major global privacy shifts we see today. So initially, FDPPI functioned largely as an educational body. Their main focus was providing certifications for data protection professionals.
Right. They were basically handing out acronyms.
Pretty much.
Things like CDPPI, CDPPG, and CDPODA. Basically, they were training people up to be certified data protection professionals or data protection officers, giving them a piece of paper that says, I understand the mechanics of data privacy.
Exactly.
You're operating as a school. But then, on April 11th, 2026, FDPPI launched something entirely different. They established ADI, the Association of Independent Data Auditors of India, complete with its own dedicated hub at adi.org.in.
And this is the pivot.
Yeah. And the stated goal here is to formally develop the profession of the Independent Data Auditor, or IDA.
Notice the deliberate shift in language there, though. They moved from offering certifications to founding an association for independent auditors.
Which sounds a lot more serious.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is much more serious. Providing a certification is just about verifying knowledge. You take a test, you prove you understand the concept, you get a certificate.
Right.
But founding an association of independent auditors is about establishing a formalized, accountable industry with actual legal teeth.
Okay, but I have to push back a little on the necessity of this. Because, if FDPPI has already been handing out data protection certifications since 2018, why spin up a completely new association in April 2026?
Wow.
It feels like it could just be a clever rebranding exercise to sound more official. Is this actually a fundamental shift in how seriously these laws are being treated? Or is it just, a new coat of paint on the same educational programs?
That's a fair question, but the text gives us a very clear answer to that by strictly defining what a data audit means under this new association.
Okay.
The post explicitly restricts the term data audit to mean, quote, data compliance audit as per DPDPA 2023.
Oh.
Yeah, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of India. That restriction is everything. This is no longer about general IT health checkups or, ensuring a company has good password policy.
Right, right.
This is about strict, legally binding compliance to a specific national law.
Oh, I see the mechanism now. It's exactly like the difference between graduating with a law degree and actually passing the bar exam to become a practicing attorney.
That's a perfect analogy.
Because one proves you know the law, but the other legally authorizes you to represent it in a regulated environment.
Yes, and that regulated environment requires oversight, it requires standards, and most importantly, independence. An independent data auditor cannot be an internal employee of the company they are auditing.
Right, because of the conflict of interest.
Exactly. They have to operate outside the corporate hierarchy to remain objective. So by explicitly tying the IDA title to the DPDPA 2023, AID is really positioning itself as the critical enforcement mechanism for the government's privacy mandate. FDTPI was the academy.
And ADI is the professional guild.
Spot on.
So they've established this guild with actual legal teeth, but that raises a massive logistical problem. Where do you magically find expert data auditors for a profession that literally didn't exist a few months ago?
You can't.
Right. You can't just put an ad in the paper for someone with 10 years of experience in a field that was just invented. And AAI clearly realized this because they didn't just create one strict box for entry. They created a 3-tiered system to rapidly build their ranks.
Which is very smart. They are impaneling 3 distinct kinds of independent data auditors, recognizing that they really need to pull talent from multiple streams simultaneously to meet the immediate market demand.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because when I read through these 3 tiers, it instantly painted a picture of a martial arts dojo.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so the first tier they list is the probationary idea. The text says these are the people just starting their journey towards being an auditor. So in our dojo, these are the white belts.
The beginners.
Exactly. They're on the mat, they are eager, but they are just beginning to learn the basic forms and katas of data compliance.
And you absolutely have to establish that pipeline for new talent. Otherwise, the profession just dies out in a generation.
Right. Then, jumping to the third tier, you have the certified IDAs. The text describes these as the people who have passed through the specific examination of FDPPI and acquired knowledge of the DGPSI framework of audit.
And we should probably define that acronym because it's central to their methodology.
Good idea.
So DGPSI stands for the Data Governance and Protection Standard of India. It is a homegrown framework designed specifically to address the nuances of Indian data law.
Okay, so these certified IDAs are the homegrown black belts. They came up specifically through this particular dojo's exact system.
Yes.
They didn't learn general data privacy. They learned the DGPSI standard inside and out. They are native to this specific style of enforcement.
And they represent the ideal end state of the FDPPI pipeline. But the most strategically brilliant move is the middle tier, the accredited IDAs.
The crossovers.
Yeah.
The text says accredited IDAs are people already established in the field of auditing. Maybe they do privacy audits or information security. But it also explicitly opens the door to people doing financial audits or cost audits who want to add data auditing to their portfolio.
Which is huge.
It is. To stick with the dojo analogy, these are the black belts from an entirely different discipline. Imagine a highly decorated judo master walking into a karate dojo. They already know how to fight, they understand balance, they have absolute discipline. They just need to adapt their existing, highly rigorous skills to a new style of combat.
Applying financial auditing methodology to data is a massive structural shift in how we value digital information. I mean, think about the mechanics of a financial audit.
Intense.
It's ruthless. Every single receipt, every ledger entry, every hidden account is subjected to objective scrutiny because money is the undisputed lifeblood of the corporation. Financial auditors are trained to be deeply skeptical.
Yeah.
They are trained to find the hidden illicit transaction buried under thousands of pages of legitimate business.
And now ADI is saying we want that exact same investigative mindset, but instead of looking for hidden money, we want you looking for hidden data servers.
Exactly. Treating data with the exact same rigor as a corporate balance sheet elevates data from a simple IT problem to a core corporate liability.
Wow, yeah.
If you trust a veteran financial auditor to track a missing $1 million through a maze of shell companies, you want that same person tracking how a gigabyte of unauthorized user location data is being silently routed to a third-party marketing firm.
That makes perfect sense.
They bring an entirely different level of gravitas and investigative ruthlessness to the profession.
Okay, so we have the dojo, and we have our different levels of belts. We have the eager white belts, the homegrown black belts, and the hardened veterans crossing over from finance. But how are they actually training these people to enforce the DPDPA 2023 in the real world?
That's the real challenge.
Right, because having a title on a website is one thing. Walking into a multinational tech corporation, demanding to see how their algorithms process user consent, and telling them their data practices are illegal, that is a completely different beast.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us to the immediate real-time action outlined in Naavi's post. The theory is fascinating, but the logistics of bootstrapping this are incredibly frantic.
Frantic is the perfect word. The post mentions a one-day induction program for these newly impaneled IDAs happening in Bangalore. And the timeline here is what really stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah, the dates are wild.
The event is scheduled for June 6th, 2026. The blog post announcing it and discussing the curriculum was published on June 4. That is essentially a 2-day notice for a foundational event in a brand new profession.
A 2-day turnaround speaks volumes about the sheer panic and urgency in the industry right now.
It's crazy.
The government has passed a comprehensive data protection law. Companies suddenly realize they need to be audited to avoid massive fines, and the infrastructure to perform those audits simply does not exist at scale yet. They are essentially building the plane while it is hurtling down the runway.
And it's not just a networking event either. The post explicitly states this induction program is intended to cover the basic requirements of actually performing a data audit.
Right.
They have 3 specific learning sessions planned for this single day. Session A is the Code of Ethics for data auditors. Session B is the role of IDAs. And Session C is a brief discussion on IDA challenges and solutions. But I really struggle to see how this works mechanically.
The brevity of the training is definitely a valid concern.
It's beyond brief. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. In one single day, they are supposed to cover ethics, the actual logistical roles, and the challenges and solutions for a completely brand new legal framework.
I know, it sounds impossible.
How can a one-day crash course possibly prepare someone for the real-world complexities of auditing a sprawling modern data architecture? I mean, a single tech company could have data spread across 3 continents in a dozen different cloud environments.
You're right. You cannot teach the technical nuances of a global cloud architecture in an afternoon. You just can't.
Exactly.
But what's fascinating here is if you look at the deliberate sequencing of the curriculum they've laid out, it reveals what ADI considers to be the absolute core requirement of the job. Notice what they placed in Session A.
The Code of Ethics for data auditors.
Mm-hmm.
They lead with that before they even discuss the role itself.
Yes. Before they talk about how to check a server log, before they discuss the legal definitions in the DPDPA, they spend the first section on ethics. When you are bootstrapping a profession that holds the keys to massive amounts of sensitive corporate and personal data, establishing an unshakable ethical baseline is the single most critical hurdle.
Yeah.
An auditor who knows the technical law perfectly but lacks ethics is a massive liability.
Because the temptation for corruption in this specific role would be astronomical. I mean, paint a picture of what happens when a newly minted auditor actually finds something. Let's say an IDA walks into a multi-billion-dollar tech giant and discovers a hidden data lake where the company has been illegally harvesting and storing the biometric data of millions of users.
The corporate liability for a discovery like that under the DPDPA 2023 would be catastrophic.
We are talking about fines that could cripple a company or destroy its stock price overnight.
Absolutely.
So the immediate corporate instinct wouldn't necessarily be to fix the problem. It might be to fix the auditor.
Right.
The company might offer that independent auditor a highly lucrative multi-year consulting contract, purely hypothetical, of course, if they simply omit that specific data lake from their final compliance report.
Or consider the flip side.
Yeah.
The auditor themselves might realize the immense value of the biometric data they just uncovered. Yeah. What stops them from quietly downloading a copy and selling it to a data broker on the black market? They have unfettered access to the most sensitive information a company holds.
That completely reframes the one-day induction program for me.
Yeah.
They aren't trying to teach these people how to be technical wizards in a few hours. They are bringing them into a room to look them in the eye and cement the culture of the profession.
Exactly.
Session C, the challenges and solutions, is listed as a brief discussion because those technical challenges are going to evolve dynamically every single day in the field. But the code of ethics has to be absolute on day one.
It is the bedrock of the entire association. Because if the public and the government cannot trust the integrity of the independent data auditors, the entire enforcement mechanism of the DPDPA 2023 just collapses.
So what does this all mean? Why does any of this matter to you, the person listening right now? Why should you care about a frantic one-day induction program happening in a conference room in Bangalore? You should care because this is the exact moment the invisible shield meant to protect your personal digital life is actually being forged.
For years, data privacy has felt like a purely abstract concept.
Yeah.
Governments pass massive, complex laws. Politicians make grand speeches about protecting citizens. But your day-to-day experience on the internet doesn't really seem to change. Your data still gets harvested and the breaches still happen.
But what Navi's post documents is the birth of the human element. The professionals sitting in that Bangalore conference room, progressing through these tiers of probationary white belts and credited black belts, they are the ones who will actually execute the abstract law.
Right.
They are the friction between aggressive corporate data harvesting and your fundamental privacy rights.
They're the ones who will ensure the DPDPA 2023 actually has consequences.
But there is a wildly ironic detail at the very bottom of Navi's source material that kind of complicates this entire picture of human guardians.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, I was scrolling through the footer of the post, past all the logistics about the Bangalore event, and there is a prominent promotion for something called Ask Vishy.
Yes, the personal AI assistant.
The site explicitly describes Ask Vishy as the, quote, personal AI assistant of Navi for all your information on Navi.org.
Yeah.
So the veteran cyber law specialist, the very architect who is frantically trying to build this brand new human profession of data auditors, is already relying on a personalized AI assistant to disseminate his own vast knowledge of the law.
It creates a fascinating philosophical paradox, doesn't it?
It really does.
Navi is a visionary in this space, so it makes total sense he would adopt cutting-edge tools. But it forces us to ask a terrifying question about the future of this fledgling industry. If the human building the auditing profession is heavily utilizing an AI assistant to navigate complex cyber law, how long will it be before these human independent data auditors are forced to audit the AI assistants of the companies they are investigating?
Because an AI assistant isn't just a piece of static software. It is essentially a massive sponge that ingests, processes, and regurgitates unfathomable amounts of data.
Exactly.
If a company feeds all of its internal communications, customer records, and user histories into an AI model to make it smarter, how on earth does a human auditor check that for compliance? You can't just look at a spreadsheet. The data is baked into the neural network.
Auditing the black box of an artificial intelligence for data compliance is perhaps the most complex technical challenge of our era. The human auditor has to prove that the AI hasn't illegally retained personally identifiable information in its training weights.
Which seems almost impossible right now. And let's take that one step further down the rabbit hole. If an AI can be trained on the highly complex, nuanced frameworks of cyber law, exactly as Navi's doing right now with his Ask Vishy bot on his own site, how long before the AI itself becomes the data auditor?
A machine policing machines.
Yeah.
You deploy an AI auditor into a corporation's network to interface directly with their AI systems, running millions of simulated compliance checks in fractions of a second. It could analyze data flows at a scale and speed that a human team could never match.
It really makes you wonder if this brand new human profession we've been talking about, these badge-wearing sheriffs of the digital Wild West, are just a temporary bridge.
It's very possible.
We are frantically training human auditors in Bangalore today just to hold the line until the AI auditors are smart enough to take over tomorrow.
The landscape of data privacy is shifting so rapidly that the profession being born today will likely be unrecognizable in 5 years. But the fundamental requirement, the need for an objective, rigorous, and highly ethical enforcement mechanism will remain constant, whether the auditor is a human crossing over from financial accounting or a piece of advanced code.
That is definitely something to think about the next time you blindly click "I accept" on a sprawling privacy policy. The internet might still feel like the Wild West, a place with endless frontiers and very few rules. But what we've seen today is that the blueprint for law and order has been drawn. The sheriffs are being hired, they're being trained in the ethics of the badge, and they're preparing to step out onto the dusty streets. So as you navigate your digital life, keep questioning how your data is being guarded and who or what is actually doing the guarding. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.